Global population is expected to reach 10 billion by the middle of the century, but actually, arable land is set to decline. This raises the obvious question: how are we going to increase crop yields to keep up with this increasing food demand? A key part of the answer is fertilizers. Potash is one of the three major fertilizers that farmers rely on to increase crop yields. Population growth is the key secular growth driver, which expresses itself in three key ways: food, feed, and fuel. The first, food, is simply rising demand for grain, fruit, and vegetables to feed the growing number of people on the planet. The second driver, livestock feed, reflects changing diets as middle classes expand in Asia, Latin America, and soon Africa. The third driver is biofuels, primarily in the form of corn-based ethanol. More people driving more miles will require more fuel. For investors looking for durable growth opportunities, the potash industry seems like an obvious place to look. When we dig deeper, however, the story becomes more nuanced. Considering industry dynamics, potash producers have traditionally been in a very strong competitive position. Barriers to entry are high due to large capex requirements and time investments needed to enter the industry. It typically costs about $5 to $7 billion and takes 7 to 8 years before a new mine becomes operational. Another barrier is simply differing natural potash reserves. Canada and Russia have the world's largest reserves, and thus producers there benefit from greater economies of scale. Furthermore, the risk of substitution is relatively low, if not non-existent, as farmers have come to rely on potash as an essential part of their fertilizer mix to achieve maximal crop yields. The most beneficial industry dynamic for potash producers, however, has traditionally been the very low level of rivalry amongst competitors. From 2005 to 2013, about 70% of global potash was produced by two cartels. The tacit agreements to limit competition enabled these sellers to restrict the volume of global supply to ensure high prices and hence high profits. Investor returns were also high. In 2013, however, the fortunes of potash producers took a sudden turn for the worse. In July of that year, the Russian partner in the Eastern European BPC cartel unexpectedly exited the partnership. No longer mutually agreeing to limit production, the short-term result of the breakup was an increase in supply as producers attempted to maintain their revenues by driving volume growth. As a result of this rupture, potash companies became an unattractive place to invest for many years. So what are some important lessons that investors can draw from this experience? The first and most important one is focusing on competitive dynamics. Companies that have the greatest economies of scale tend to perform best, even in periods of oversupply. Another key lesson is just to be mindful of cartels. They tend to break, and when they break, they lead to disruptions. And these disruptions make it very difficult for investors to gauge when to exit. The last lesson is to continuously monitor the competitive landscape at all times. And this means focusing on both public and private companies. Even the smallest change in the competitive landscape can lead to major investment opportunities.